Hi, I'm Richard Winger, and I'm an individual who, way back in the 1960s, found out that the nation's ballot access laws in some states were extraordinarily unfair and left a Democratic-Republican monopoly on the ballot. So I've been working for 45 years to improve those laws. And in 1985, I started Ballot Access News. That's a monthly print newsletter that covers developments in the law relating to the ballot access laws. And people might be surprised that there's enough material to put in a newsletter, but every odd year when the legislatures of the nation are active, there are ballot access bills to either make them easier or harder in over half the states. This is a very active area of election law where the laws are constantly changing. Also, at any given time, there's probably about a third of the states that have some ballot access law being challenged in court. So although it doesn't get a lot of attention in the big press, really there's very few areas of election law where the changes are so constant. And I'm happy to say that people like me who want to make it easier for new parties to develop and independent candidates to get on the ballot, we are slowly winning. In the last 30 years, about half the states have eased their ballot access laws, and only about 6 of them have made it worse. Just in the last 2 years, we've had several successes. California eased the definition of a political party so that instead of having to have 100,000 registrations, it's more like 60,000 now. And Maine also eased its process. It used to be a petition of 5% of the voters, and now it's 5,000 registered members, which is easier. And also Virginia improved its laws in 2013. They cut the number of signatures to get on the ballot for president from 10,000 to 5,000. So if you add up the number of signatures or registered party members for an outsider presidential candidate to get on the ballot in all 50 states, for 2016, it's going to only be under 600,000, which is the lowest since 1968. So 600,000 is still a big burden, but at one point it was 900,000. So when I say sometimes that we've cut the burden by a third, that's what we're referring to. I'm a big supporter of political parties. I think that political parties are useful to society. Political parties are nothing more than people coming together in a voluntary organization. They have common political ideals and they want to work together to get those ideals. And if it weren't for parties, special interests would have even more say than they do now. Sometimes people think nonpartisan elections is the way to go, but I like to point out Chicago, about 15 years ago, switched their city elections to all nonpartisan for city office. But the Democratic Party machine in Chicago is as powerful as it's ever been. Also, Minnesota tried a nonpartisan legislature in 1918, but the legislators soon realized you can't organize a big legislative body without parties. So they developed informal parties. They called them the liberals and the conservatives. And every legislator joined the liberal caucus or the conservative caucus. And that's how they organized the legislature. That's how they chose the speaker. So after some time, the voters found out about it and they said, well, look, as long as you guys are organizing into parties anyway, don't leave us out. And Minnesota in the 70s went back to having a partisan legislature because it just seemed more honest. It was partisan anyway, so why not bring it out into the open? And the trouble with parties in the United States is the government has over-regulated them and it makes it difficult for them to do their job. We signed the Helsinki Accords, which is a human rights organization, in 1990, and we and all the other countries promised not to merge political parties with the state. Political parties are supposed to be free, and they're not supposed to be told by the government how to organize themselves. So I hope that people who think that political parties are evil will realize they are evil sometimes. But if you look around the world, every country with a population of over 100,000 has political parties. It just seems like we can't have democratic government without parties. And there are evils with the party system that can be cured by other than just trying to abolish parties or stamp them out of the system. I guess I'll close by saying that Ballot Access News is on the internet. So just Google Ballot Access News. You can read the old print issues on my webpage.